There's been a lot of movies, good or bad, that had an action figure line. Well, today we're going to look at action figures based on movies you didn't even know they made. And I'm saying you might not even know the movie was made, much less the figures. Let's take a look. Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with another video to tell you once again. We got a sale going at junkmanmerch.com, junkmanmerch.com. We got a lot of stuff on sale over there. $13 for a t-shirt. Check it out. You can get this V t-shirt, or you can get this new shirt, or this new shirt. You might be able to get this new shirt. Oh man, you're going to junkmanmerch.com. Tell your wife, tell your loved ones, tell your children, tell your neighbor, tell your uncle, buy me a shirt for Christmas at junkmanmerch.com. Now we got that out of the way. What are we going to look at today? Well, we're going to look at action figure lines that you didn't even know they made based on movies. Now, some of these movies, you might not even know they made the movies either. I try to go a little obscure here, so it might be a little bit more fun. And we're going to start with number 10 with a toy line I talked about a couple days ago in a video. Action figures based on the 1999 movie Virus, starring Jamie Lee Curtis and one of the bald ones, William Baldwin. I know, I don't even remember the movie. Tanked at the box office, but they made an action figure line of it. Let's take a look. They don't look like anything really that great, and the movie, from what I've told, is not that great either. Jamie Lee Curtis, William Baldwin, Donald Sutherland. How could it not be great with a cast like that? In 1999, they had to deal with The Virus, a science fiction horror film that was a critical and commercial flop. But according to Wikipedia, it did gain a cult following. But I guess not much of a cult, because I haven't heard anyone ever talk about this movie ever. As you can see here with these action figures, there's nothing really special to talk about. They're generic, they're plain, they're simple, they're basic, they're just cheap action figures. So let's move on and get back to the list. Virus action figures. Are you a fan of the movie Virus? Maybe they are. It's like I said, they say it's a cult movie. They seem to say that about everything. I don't care how bad it flops, it turns into a cult movie, right? Let's look at number 2 on this list. And this one you may remember, or you may have tried to block it. You remember the Superman spin-off film, I guess you could call it, where some basketball player plays Steel, you know, the superhero Steel. It was like a metal Superman or something. I just remember this from the Superman comics when he came back to life, you know, where they roped you in to bind the death of Superman, and 2 months later he came back. I thought I was going to retire on those comics. But anyway, they made the movie about this metal Superman and made action figures based on it. I think it was Shaquille O'Neal, or maybe it was Larry Bird. Now, let's take a look and then I'll know. In 1977, Shaquille O'Neal made his film debut in Steel. Also starring in the film was Judd Nelson. Awesome. Who doesn't love Judd Nelson? Or at least didn't love him back in the 80s. Now, this movie was considered the best film of 1997. Wait a minute, hold on, I read that wrong. This film was considered the biggest flop of 1997. It was a box office bomb. With a $16 million budget, the film grossed $1.7 million at the box office. Shaquille O'Neal was even nominated for an Oscar, a Razzie Award for Worst Actor, but he lost due to Kevin Costner in The Postman. But let's look at the action figure line. Oh my God, does that say what I think it says? Oh my God, it does. Kenner made these? Oh, well, at least it's Kenner by name. It was the 90s, Hasbro owned them by then, so, you know, that's like putting the Kenner name on a dog of shit and saying, hey, that's Kenner. No, it's not. No, it's not. The 90s stuff, although it says Kenner, is not Kenner. Well, we all know that, but look at these figures. No, I guess the figures aren't that bad looking. I mean, for figures and movies, it looks like Shaquille O'Neal, so they're okay, but overall, the movie flopped and the toy line flopped also. Now, we're going to talk about movie flops, so we're going to have to bring this one up, and this one you probably knew they made an action figure line. It was my If movie on it was the If one of the list, so I almost took it off, and one of the biggest known flops ever is Ishtar. No, okay, they didn't do action figures of Ishtar. One of the other most famous box office bombs is Battlefield Earth, starring John Travolta. And yes, they made an action figure line from Battlefield Earth. Released in the year 2000, set in the year 3000, this science fiction film starred John Travolta and was based on a 1982 novel by Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard. And that's about all you need to know about this movie to know you probably don't want to see it. Also starring in the film is Barry Peppers. I just like saying that name, Barry Peppers, and Forrest Whitaker. And like the other movies we looked so far on this list, this was a commercial failure. And it's described as many as the worst film of all times. That right there kind of makes you want to see it. 10 years after its release, it did win a Razzie Award for the worst picture of the decade. The worst picture of the decade! And as you can guess, the figures bombed just as bad as the movie did. Battle freaking Earth. Okay, let's go on. Today, when they release a superhero movie, you know two things. It's going to be a hit, and it's going to have an action figure line based on it. Well, here's one from the 90s. They only got one action figure. And I guess you can call it an action figure. It's more like a bendy. But I had to bring this up here because it's probably one of the best superhero movies of the 90s. Yep, you know what I'm talking about. Meteor Man. They made an action figure, at least one, based on the movie Meteor Man. You don't remember Meteor Man? Let's take a look. This movie was written, directed, co-produced, and starred Robert Townsend. Whatever happened to Robert Townsend? I really don't see him on anything anymore. I loved him in Hollywood Shuffle. Remember that movie? Anyway, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. The movie also stars, and get this all-star cast, Eddie Griffin, Marla Gibbs, that's right, the maid from Jeffersons, Robert Guillaume. You remember Benson? That's right, Benson is in this. It also stars James Earl Jones. Yeah, the voice of Darth Vader. Bill Cosby. Oh, well, let's not talk about that. And ABC, Another Bad Creation. If that's not enough, it's got a special appearance by Luther Vandross, Sinbad, and Naughty by Nature. Townsend stars as a mild-mannered school chief. Why they're always mild-mannered? I want a superhero that's disagreeable-mannered. Anyway, Robert Townsend stars as a mild-mannered janitor. Oh, wait a minute, that was Hong Kong Phooey. Again, I'm getting my movies mixed up here. Townsend stars as the mild-mannered school teacher who becomes a superhero after his neighborhood in Washington, D.C. The Los Angeles Times called the movie a flary, clunky sitcom. Is that good or bad? And according to Wikipedia, guess what? This flop movie has a cult following. Stop saying everything has a cult following just because it's a flop and some people like it. Meteor Man. Okay, we talked about Meteor Man, so let's move on. And this is another one. I only had one, so I don't know if I can call it an action figure line. Just an action figure based on America Ninja. Now, this was on HBO a lot back in the 80s when I used to watch HBO. I would just flip it around, be homesick from school, and be like, American Ninja's on. And the ninjas were huge in the 80s. I did a whole video about the ninja craze of the 80s. It's crazy how everybody was crazy about ninjas. But let's take a look at American Ninja. This martial arts action figure film was released in 1985 and starred Michael Dudikoff. I don't know if I said that right. Maybe I did. And it's the first installment of the American Ninja franchise. You can't call this one a flop. It has a sequel, American Ninja 2. How did they come up with that title? It did get a mixed reception, but according to Wikipedia, it's considered a cult film. Oh my God, what isn't a cult film? And as you can see from the one figure they released, dressed in his ninja outfit, it's pretty basic and generic. It looks like the toy company Flintwood just got the rights to put the poster on a piece of cardboard and slapped a generic ninja figure on it and said it was from American Ninja. I mean, I don't even think it's the main guy. It looks like it's the back of the guy on the poster. But maybe it is Joe. Now, after the release of Batman, every studio wanted their own superhero franchise. And this was the early days of adapting comic books into movies, so there were some stumbles along the way. And one of those stumbles was a big one, with the release of Phantom. This 1996 movie stars Billy Zane. Yeah, Billy Zane as the Phantom. But he's not the only actor in the film. Also there is Treat Williams. You heard me, Treat Williams. The film was released with mixed reviews. Billy Zane did sign on to do 2 sequels. But after the disappointing ticket sales, we never got that. Is that good or is that bad? I think it's pretty good. And as you can see here, the figures are released in Brazil. Didn't even get American release figures, and they're pretty generic. We got Phantom in purple and a Phantom in red. Who's that in red? No, that's the Phantom. Now let's talk about a movie that people seem to love. I mean, after all, it has a cult following. The Never-Ending Story. Remember that? Did you know they had action figures line based on The Never-Ending Story? I bet you didn't even know that one. Let's take a look. Okay, maybe this is kind of stretching things a little bit because, again, they're rubber figures. And it doesn't say Never-Ending Story on the package. It says La Historia Sans Fin. And before you tell me, wait, that doesn't say never ending story, well, apparently it does. But in some other language. I'm not really sure what language that is. What is that, Hungarian? Oh, maybe it's Spanish. As you can see from the poster here, I'm not making this up. But this is probably the most popular movie on the list. Now I said it's probably the most popular movie on the list. I forgot about this one, The Patriot. No, I'm not talking about the one with Mel Gibson. I'm talking about the one with Gregory Henry. Who? I don't know. This was released in 1986. Greg Henry starred in The Patriot, directed by Frank Harris. I don't know who any of those people are, but it does co-star Leslie Nielsen. Now I know who that guy is, so this has to be one great comedy. Although one figure is released in the line, there were some smaller toys, but one figure. And here's Patriot, dressed in all camouflage. Looks like he comes with a bazooka, a knife, a Tusken Raider gun, and so much more. Even an iPad. This guy was ahead of his time. It's the Patriot. Patriot. Now, when I say the words Mark Hamill, two things come to your mind. Cogknocker and Luke Skywalker. But a third thing should come to your mind. Wing Commander. Not only did they turn the video game into a movie, they turned the movie into an action figure line. That's right, action figures based on Wing Commander. Oh, it was a good year for science fiction in 1999. Not only did you get the Phantom Menace, you got Virus and Wing Commander. The video game turned motion picture. And look at this lineup. Freddie Prinze Jr. That's right, Freddie Prinze's son. It also has Matthew Scooby-Doo Lillard. You know how hard that was for me to say without saying Leonard? It was very hard. The movie was released on March 12, 1999, and was a commercial flop, grossing a little over $11 million. I mean, it's got Freddie Prinze Jr. in it, so what do you expect? And Wikipedia says nothing about this one being a cult film. Good, finally, a flop that's not a cult film. But how could it be a cult film? It's got Freddie Prinze Jr. in it. But as you can see here, they did a line of action figures that look horrible. Okay, the figures look basic and cheap, but the figure card and package and everything looks so cheap. I never heard of the company that made these X toys, but they really didn't put much thought into this. Wing Commander action figures is what the package says. It comes with a trading cards. Why? Because it was the 90s. But here we are, Wing Commander action figures. Whew, I don't remember this, and I'm sure glad I don't. And you think you can't top Wing Commander, right? Pooh, don't worry, we're going to top it with a movie I never even heard of. I never heard of the action figure line. I've never heard of the movie. And believe it or not, it has Ewan McGregor in it. I've heard of him. Stormbreaker. Do you know what Stormbreaker is? I don't either. But here's the action figures for Stormbreaker. This 2006 action spy film stars Alex Prettyface as Alex Rider. But it also co-stars Mickey Rourke. Hey, they kind of look alike, and the names sound alike. Don't judge me. Also starring in this, Alyssa Silverstone. Yeah, I was wondering what happened to her. She was off making Stormbreakers, I guess. Also in this movie, Stephen Fry. Who is Stephen Fry? I could be wrong, but I think it was Ferris Bueller's friend in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And it also starred Obi-Wan himself, the great Ewan McGregor. The film follows the plot of a boy that was hired by MI6 after his uncle, a secret agent, is killed in action. He is sent on a mission in Cornwall to gather intelligence behind Stormbreaker, an advanced computer system being provided to schools all across Britain. It grossed between $20 to $23 million worldwide, unable to recoup any of its $40 million budget, making this film a box office bomb. And the action figure line looks just as bad as the movie looks. I mean, you have the main figure that looks like he's from a teen boy band. And they released two of him. One in a black jacket and one in a tan jacket. You think anyone was going around hunting? Oh, I need my Alex Rider in the tan jacket. Oh, they only have him in the black jacket. No, I don't think that ever happened. Well, that's it. 10 action figure lines based on movies that you never heard of. Am I talking about the movies or the action figures? Maybe both. Anyway, let me know. Did you like Stormbreaker? Did you see it? You're probably like, hey, that's a cult hit. Everybody loves Stormbreaker. What about Wing Commander? Oof. Anyway, my battery's dying because I didn't charge my battery, so I better wrap this up. I want to thank you for watching. Thumb up if you like my content. Subscribe to the channel. We'll talk again soon.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.